Joining me now, Benjamin Anthony. He's the co-founder and CEO of the Miriam Institute. Thank you for your time at this critical juncture in the war. Why do you believe Hamas is releasing some hostages now, 4 in total?
I think that the release of the hostages is for 2 main reasons. And remember, it's only 4 out of 220 that they took captive on that awful day on October the 7th, 2023, during that brutal raid upon Israel's citizens and civilians. The first reason is that they are seeking to show that they control the timeline for events on the ground. By releasing hostages in this drip fashion, 2 by 2, if you like, what they have the opportunity to do is to further delay Israel's incursion on the ground in the event that that is about to be ordered, because hope will remain among Israelis that our hostages may yet be returned unscathed and alive. That's the first thing. Incidentally, Israel should not allow Hamas to dictate that timeline. Israel must take charge of this situation. I believe it will take charge of this situation. The second reason is that Hamas possibly realizes that it has bitten off more than it can chew in terms of the horrors that it wrought against Israel on October the 7th. And therefore, it's doing anything and everything to show some veneer of humanity, of humane deeds and humane actions. But the reality of the matter is there's no opportunity for them to salvage any semblance of being a humane organization. Their true colors were shown on October 7th. They are a brutal, bloody, murderous, depraved terrorist organization that absolutely needs to be destroyed and vanquished, completely vanquished from the face of the earth.
Right, and I just want to point out on the screen several of the members at the music festival who were taken hostage a moment ago. We saw a mother with her 2 young children and also a little boy, all being taken hostage by Hamas. So you have Israel focusing on Hamas's brutality on October 7th, and you've got Hamas trying to show the human side of this terrorist organization. How does the release of the hostages change the narrative and who's essentially declaring they have control of the timeline, as you say?
I don't think that it's effectively going to change the narrative that's taking hold. The fact of the matter is that the world saw the atrocities wrought by Hamas against Israelis on October 7th in an unprovoked attack against our men, women, children, infants, unborn children, our elderly and our infirm. Nobody can unsee the images that we have all seen. Having said that, the steady release of these hostages, as I said, 2 by 2, which seems to be the pace that they've locked into right now, what that does seem to have done is bought them some time, particularly the urging of the Americans, though not as a diktat of the Americans, some time for negotiations to continue and therefore prevent this expected large-scale, far-reaching, and dare I say, conclusive ground incursion into the Gaza Strip in the event that the green light is given by the governmental level to the defense establishment, and particularly the Israel Defense Forces here in this country.
And you and I are talking about Israel and Hamas. The Pentagon has sent military advisors to Israel to assist the IDF, in large part to prevent this conflict from becoming any wider. In that vein, you have to talk about Iran, correct?
You do have to talk about Iran, and I have to tell you that I'm actually an advocate for, I wouldn't say widening this campaign, but taking the fight to our enemies on 2 fronts. I think it's very, very important you talk about Iran. Well, their main proxy here in this region is Hezbollah. Hezbollah is ensconced along the southern border of Lebanon, right on the border with the State of Israel. They have the ability to fire and deploy 2,200 munitions a day that can blanket the State of Israel. They have an arsenal of more than 200,000 projectiles over there in the hands of Hezbollah. I personally believe that the Israel Defense Forces must defang Hezbollah right now by way of a first strike, not a preemptive strike, because we've lost the element of surprise. We're already in a low-level conflict with Hezbollah, but we must strike Hezbollah's munitions now, reduce those to their lowest possible potency, and remain focused on what needs to be done to our southern flank inside the Gaza Strip. The reality of the matter is that the potency of Hezbollah is many, many times that of Hamas. It just doesn't make any sense to leave that potency to grow and to fester. Rather, we should take this opportunity to remove these threats from our borders to the south, certainly with Hamas in the Gaza Strip, but also to the north with Hezbollah in Lebanon, a proxy, as you alluded to in your question, of Iran.
Interesting prospect. I will see if that happens. Benjamin Anthony, thank you.
Thank you for having me.